We'll start with some basic fundamental of APIs, or with testing. First, we're going to do API testing. So basically, what is API testing and what is the role of API testing? What we are doing. So first of all, we need to understand what is basically API. Basically, it's a application programming interface. It's containing the functionality of two application library. I will explain it. It's not a big problem. So, like if you're taking the example, what is API? Like for example, if you're working for any organization, here we have a customer, like vendors, or you can say suppliers. We have a partners. So this is a very basic term. So I will explain like what basically API do. So and this is for example apps. Lots of protocol we have, and this all connecting the servers and like receiving the data from the customer. For example, one in second scenario, whatever we have, this is second like from supplier, we are sending or getting the data, or like we're just communicating, and we have a partner. So same things. Fourth is app. So how they are connecting each other. This is called API. So basically, with the help of API, we are communicating with the flow, like a lot of layers, or you can say a lot of channel we can connect. Basically in like if we're going to start with technical things, whatever we have front end technology like HTML, that we have CSS, lot of things we are using in that. But yeah, like we are using these components to creating our API. We have one protocol, for example, we have written one API. This is our SQL DB. This is our SQL DB. For now, we can consume, like we can take as a backend. We can say DB as a database. What is API? So basically, in one line, we can say interface between software programs, or you can say services. So as you see here, how we are communicating each other. Here we have a client, and for example, here we have a safe person, like you can say waiter. So basically, he is working. He act like a API. So whatever client send the request to him, all right, he will send the same to the. He will order to the safe, and safe will work on that, and he will reply back to that. You can say he will reply. He will reply to the waiter, and waiter will revert back to client or customer. So basically, here we have whatever we have. Here, this is an, you can say it work as a act as API. So API is also doing the same thing. We have a client, we have services. So it is communicating with each other, and we have a type of like you can say UI type of API. So what is basically we have API, and we can denote like this. We have basically SOAP. Earlier we are using SOAP, and we have RPC, like that is REST. All right. So here you can say like what is the SOAP basically. So it's a simple object access protocol, like you can say, and it is a remote. It's a remote procedure call that is called RPC. Representational state transfer, that is called REST. And this is basically some fundamental of the API. This is just basics of fundamental, and now our topic is like what is basically API testing. Here we are going to cover APIs and its integration with the services. API testing is testing that API and its integration with services. It is one of the most challenging type of testing. If you miss the certain cases in API testing, that can a cause of very program, like you can say it's a major problem can happen if you're not doing properly API testing. It will hard to debug the production environment, right? We cannot usually where it's not recommended to debug your into the prod environment. Not recommended for any organization is directly debug in prod, unlike the SOAP and the RPC. So everywhere, whatever we have to check the request structure, and we have to check the proper error, like you can say a positive and negative scenario with the proper error code and the response structure, whatever it's coming with the response. So we have to make sure everything is going fine. Otherwise, it will be difficult to once your code is deployed into production, it will be very difficult to manage if any big problem will come on that time. So as a developer, we have to make sure like our API is working fine, and the whatever functionality we're expecting, it's working properly as it is expected. All right. What is REST API testing? For example, if you're taking the REST API testing, so basically as REST is an, or for REST, an API can be REST if it is following some rules. First rule is it is uniform interface. Second, it will be stateless client server. Fifth one is layered system. Sixth one is code on demand. So we'll see one by one. All right. what it is trying to referring here, defining interface between client and server. Basically, whatever we are communicating with the client and server, so there should be communication with the same resource like JSON with the same resources. Like we have JSON, we have XML, we have HTML, whatever we have, including like UTF-8. So this is for first uniform, and second one is if you're talking in terms of state place, basically client and server, request or response. And we have another third one here. We can say third one that is cacheable. Whatever we have, what we are doing, so the client and cache responses. Like client can cache the response. The responses should be implicitly or explicitly defined as cacheable. And basically what is happening here, it's depend on server. Like there is some time, this we keep in mind. Like there is some certain role whatever we have, like there is some time that will work for that. Basically we have client server, they are two different entity, and clients may be also, this all both are client and server are developed independently. So this is basically client server. It is between client and server. There can be any number, there can be any number of layer system, and here it doesn't matter. And last but not the least, we have a code on demand. A server can store the code of or like logic to themselves, and it can transfer whenever it is needed. Basically, who is using the rest? So basically we have Twitter, we are also using LinkedIn, LinkedIn API. Third one most popular, Slack. So lots of industry are using already REST. There is some difference between REST and server as well. We also just overview. So overview only. So I will not go in deep. And it is also using HTTP post, like you say messaging queue, whatever we are. This kind of thing we are see here. And here we have endpoint URI. We have application. So this is basically this is basically, so basically this is a soap some term. And in terms of REST, we have, you already about like box, we have RSS, we have most famous JSON method, directly get, post, you can say. This all are the HTTP method, put, and we have a delete. We have another method, but it will take some time, so I am just uh, explaining in normal only, not going in depth. And we have resource URI. Here whatever we have a endpoint URI. See here the difference. And here we have a uh, resource URI, and then we have a application. So these are all the some testing. And now our here we are using like WSDL. It is basically a format. You can say here this is a format whatever we are using, WSDL, XML based. So basically in API testing, whatever we are just doing is just like we have to validate. We are validating the key with the min and max range of APIs. So basically you can say maximum and minimum length of XML, like whatever we have API, and we have a test case. So basically it will going to perform to do like XML, JSON, schema validation, and we have a key verification. We have to like, for example, if we have JSON, XML, then we should verify if it is that all the key are coming or not. Okay, so this is the some basically some steps to verify the validation. And like we also need to make sure, like verify that how the API error code is handled. Another point we have, like we can say like why we are performing, why we need to perform API test, right? So like see, many services we have that we use every day, rarely of 100 or more than 100 of different interconnected APIs. If any one of them, if any of the service fail, then the service will not work, right? Like for example, we are using Facebook, which come from Meta. We have another API we are using from Insta. It's also from this one. Like this type, like we have multiple applications we are using daily. For example, if I take an example of Meta, we have a reel section, we have a post, we have a live option, we have a status. So whatever this component, it all right, like this all having an services itself behind the services. And if any services fail, means you cannot use that particular things. So anything like any services fail, then you will not be able to do that. Then the system failure. And right now we have internet uses millions of API, and they should be tested thoroughly, right? But the main problem when any user is if you are serving anything to the user and your experience, like user experience is not good, so why they are going to use your services, and they will sometime it will be your loss only at the end. So that's why company and all the organization makes they are making sure API testing is the very key point, and they're doing the lots of validation, they are doing the lots of testing, lots of testing phases, they have a system test, performance testing. So this kind of settings they are like testing they're providing to make sure user experience should be always good. All right. Like for example, UI, and here we have a API, and this is the UI means our applications, and here we are which is the API test, and it is performing both. And like we have a business logic, we have a component, we have another component, we have another component, and we have a like data storage, right? So here what we're doing, here we are doing the unit testing. All right. So basically, you have to make sure this is performing by the developer. If you are writing any functionality, if we are developing any new feature or function, right? So you have to write unit test cases. As a developer, you should perform this kind of thing. All right. And this all this all the things come under this one. And we have HTTP fundamental. So basically I just explain the key terms, how our HTTP fundamentally working, like it is just because of or whatever our internet like you can say internet protocol suit. So we have a client, we have a server, client. So HTTP send a request to that, and what the server response, this is called uh, HTTP request, and this is the HTTP response. All right. So basically, just how the request is going to the server and how the server responses back to the client. This is called HTTP fundamental, like we can say. And another terms we have know that cookies. This is also very important part. So it is very like cookies are usually a small text file, right? And it's given ID tag that stored in your computer, browser directory, or program data shoot folder. It contains the some session ID or session token. Before that, like we have the authentication part. This is very important part. We have a basic authentication. We have a digest authentication. We have OAuth version 1 or version 2. It could be anything. So this come under the security part. Next session, I will explain what is the HTTP session. Next session, I will explain some basic of auth. If you need a detailed video, I will create a video for that as well. In how the implementation we can achieve from the code, I'll do it later. But yeah, for now, explain the auth for like basic auth or whatever OAuth, some concept how why we are using and all things. And then we have a big topic HTTP. So we will cover like its method, and we have the some tool whatever we are using for testing. I will explain that as well. Basics tools whatever using like Postman. We have Stop UI. We have runscope.com, or we have rest.cicd. So that will explain it later. And how we are using the Postman. This is widely using. It's mostly used. So I will explain this one for today. This is a session one, and already like some this is a basic concept. I'm just doing the brush up, and I'm just explaining in basic. If you need a proper detail, you can ping me or you can comment down below. I can explain in the better way, like with the coding, with proper coding, and I have the also I will push the code in the Git repository, so it will be easy to take the code, take reference, and you can work it easily. So this is the for now today session. So this is our first session. I hope you guys are like it. As of now, all good. Okay. And now we're going to see you soon in session 2. Okay. Thank you.